Getting into the kink scene can be daunting, especially if you have a first-time experience like this.
Oh my God, you just watched 50 Shades of Grey too?
Welcome to the lunch. So this is my husband, and this is my husband's husband, and this is my husband's puppy, who's my sir, but he has the access to the Netflix.
I have no limits and no safe word.
So are you down for like a 5-hour bondage session where you're listening to It's a Small World After All for a few, 100 times?
I might have one safe word.
Hello, and welcome back to
What's Safe Word?
Or for the first time to
What's the Safe Word?
I'm Amp.
I'm Mr. Christopher.
And today we are doing one of the most requested episodes. I kid you not. Whenever we do Q&As, there's always a question of like, well, what's the thing you would tell a first timer? How do you introduce a new person to the community?
Run!
No! Be nice. We're the welcoming crew. So,
Oh, hi, welcome, coming in.
Please take your shoes off. We're a no shoes YouTube channel.
And take your clothes off too.
And with a combined 50 years within the community between the two of us, we've got not only stories and anecdotes, but plenty of tips and tricks that we would give a first timer. But I was also curious about what our community thought was the most important information to give a first timer. And so on Twitter, I asked you, what's one piece of advice you would give a new kinkster to the kink scene?
Go slow.
I'm not asking you, I'm asking them.
No, just slow it down.
Oh,
you're going way too fast.
What is one piece?
One piece?
Of One Piece.
I know, I knew that.
So we're gonna feature some of my favorite tips and tricks from you guys, but we're also gonna elevate your points with some pro-dom skills for the more seasoned professional. And the first tip today comes from Dr. Jocourt, and I think it's the best place to start because it says, coming out kinky parallels the process of coming out gay. The stages are similar in that it can be scary, but the stages of wanting to tell the whole world like a gay person coming out is the same. It's all normal and okay. And to that I would say, any kind of coming out feels similar to kinky coming out. Do you remember when you came out?
As gay, I remember coming out kinky. That's like a second coming out.
Yeah, what was your experience where you knew that you were kinky?
Oof, I knew I was kinky early on because I liked bondage and the people being captured in movies. That turned me on. I kind of admitted it to myself when I first started doing it to myself.
I knew that I was kinky when I got tied up in like a kid's game of cops and robbers when I was younger, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I don't want to get captured again.
Stop.
Please, no, not the railroad tracks. Oh.
I think my first experience was very subtle. I
very demure, very mindful.
So you're not subtle. Subtlety to you is...
Well, it didn't end well. I got a pair of handcuffs and I asked my boyfriend to put them on me. It was dark and my mouth was very busy. And
headbanging?
I kept tasting salt. I thought he was just sweaty. When we turned on the lights, there was blood everywhere because I had banged my nose and it was bleeding profusely. And I didn't realize it. His sheets were ruined. He was not happy.
Well, my first experience when I was coming out was actually really nice, and I went to a bar for the first puppy play night and I had a really nice time. The second experience was getting tied up by a very sex negative boyfriend, and I still have trauma around that every once in a while, which is great.
Trauma.
So we'll probably unpack that in this episode.
Oh, great.
Yeah, first experiences aren't always perfect nor great, but in that I want you to understand that every experience is different, and coming out should be one that you take your time doing slowly and surely, and handcuffs are a terrible idea.
Handcuffs are not a terrible idea. They're a fun idea.
They're very painful, and
They
you can lose the
can
key
be.
very easily.
Yes.
Which has happened before.
A lot of things are risky.
Don't ignore my question.
Yes, it's happened.
Okay,
before.
that's what I thought. Next
That
question.
is why we pay
Next-
taxes for
next
fire
point.
departments.
Next point. The next one comes from Tom, who says, consent is hotter than any gear or equipment. No, don't click away. Stick with us here. Consent's not only sexy and mandatory, but a lot of people will be like, oh, consent, okay. So can I touch you? And when I feel here, is that okay? And you don't have to make consent boring. Make it sexy. Sexting. Send your partner like scenarios or situations you'd like, and then be like, and how does that make you feel? Like, make it fun for them to not only have the consent with you, but also that gives you a nice like checklist of things that you've already like, we're good to go, and you can be like, okay, I can do that and that and that, and then no boundaries are crossed, and hopefully you guys have an amazing scene.
And once you have their consent, then you are free to know you're not really hurting them or going beyond their limits, so you're free to have a good time.
Because whether you're submitting, which a lot of first timers do, or doming, it's important to have confidence not only in what you're doing, but that you have the safe word figured out and that you have the limits figured out and that you know where you're gonna go with something. Or how about this next one from Hunter Green that says, you probably shouldn't kink shame, but it's okay to kink question. Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, I like that one.
Well, asking questions helps.
Questions are important.
Okay,
I agree. Yeah, I like that one. No commentary. Or how about this next one? I love this tip from Whisper that says, limits are there for a reason and should always be taken seriously. Do you want to explain what a limit is, Daddy?
A limit is how far you think you can go with a certain thing, or knowing things you're not into. You say, that's my limit.
Yeah, and while the limit might not exist in Mean Girls,
The limit does not exist.
it's important to be honest about your limits within the kink scene. Like will, want, won't lists are some of my favorite things to outline for newbies because you put down like columns of things. Will, things you will do, not ecstatic, but you're like, I'm down.
Not grown any tentacles yet.
Want, that's like the I want this thing. This should be in the scene. Please do it to me now, daddy. Ooh, choke me.
Harder, daddy!
And then the won't would be like the limits of the things you don't want to do.
So like in CBT, I like my B's tugged but not slapped.
Is that in clause 1 or section A of the
just-
contract?
just
Because
dot
I just
your
watched 50
Ds
Shades
and
of Grey,
Qs.
and that was probably the most realistic part, and an actual conversation I've had with someone.
If you're playing with someone for the first time, don't expect them to be laying down a contract for you to sign.
Unless that's, but that could make the consent sexy. That could be part of your scene.
It's a lot of work.
Do you not have a contract with your, like, Sir Dom?
Yeah, but not for the first time.
Okay, well. To the limits discussion for our pro doms out there, I also want to instill that you should not only be honest about those limits, first and foremost, but if you're trying something new for the first time, tell the other person, because that might change whether they're comfortable doing it, but also might change how they approach something.
Yeah, don't make your eyes bigger than your kink. If you're doing impact play for the very first time, please just say that up front. Don't say, I love to be spanked.
Love pink.
Harder the better. Yeah, kink is not the time to brag.
Weren't you just before this telling me?
I am the best.
Okay. Next question.
And our next one, Pup Chain says, don't hold back on the lube. Use spit as well.
No, well, spit does invigorate water-based lube if you ever need to reinvigorate water-based lube, but there is no such thing as too much lube. Pain receptors are there to tell you to stop and or change what you're doing. Please just, if you need more lube, use more lube.
There is such a thing as too much lube, because yesterday somebody used so much lube that my floor is still covered in it.
And that's the pro dom tip right there. Make sure you lay down if you're gonna get messy. Lay down towels or a little play
sheets,
sheet or
yes.
something to make sure that you're able to clean up. Because as the bottom, I would like more lube, please. This one's sweet from Banjo, who says, the people that you're looking at with all the fancy gear and all the content, etc., they started out just like you. You're looking at them 5, 10, maybe even 15 years along their journey. Don't compare you now to their X years ahead. You're doing amazing at the stage in your journey that you are. I like that message.
It takes time to learn some of these skills, and so that's kind of impossible because you haven't had that time.
Yeah. Also, gear doesn't mean experience. You see
Right.
someone dressed in a certain kind of gear, people can easily buy that. Experience is not something you buy, it's something you earn. And so if you see someone that looks like they know what they're doing, they might, but that doesn't mean you should not vet them, and you should not have conversations and make sure that they're good players that's gonna match up with you and your vibe.
And if you're newer, people do pass down gear because as we age, we don't fit in those leather pants anymore at the age of 35.
What kind of gear are they passing down? What kind of?
Everything I don't fit into
That's
anymore.
a big wall of gear behind you, Daddy.
Yeah, I
I'll just
know.
be right back. Give me a sec.
There is a box to take, there's a take-home box over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can go through that.
You mean this box?
Yeah.
Why, there's just a sponsor in it. VIIA HEMP. Because sometimes getting into a good headspace and just getting situated does include getting into a better mindset with today's sponsor, VIIA, who's making sure we not only are getting sensual online, but also offline because they ship to you right to your door. No questions asked, discreetly, so long as you're over the proper legal age. And we say that with the caveat that you should always have these hard negotiations and talks about consent, safe words, limits, totally sober. And whether getting into kink or just normal sex, VIIA has developed a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing cannabinoids, libido-strengthening herbs, and low doses of CBD into one mind-blowing gummy called High Love. We're talking about pairing aphrodisiac herbs with a mild amount of THC. The products have great flavors and are made with vegan and organic ingredients, and their best-selling High Love will not only heighten your senses, but will also increase your sexual pleasure in the bedroom. But of course that happens after you've consented, had deep conversations, gotten your safe words in order.
They also offer a wide range of products for different experiences.
It is the only lifestyle hemp brand. Whether you want to get better sleep, ease anxiety, enhance your mood, or just get a little elevated, they also have zero THC products just in case. So check out VIIA in the link down below at VIIAHemp.com and you will get 15% off with offer code WATTS, as well as a wonderful mood.
Thank you, VIIA.
And when it comes to gear, it's always important to remember, sometimes things that are more expensive are worse.
Wait, if it's more expensive, it's worse?
Sometimes things that are expensive are worse.
Wow.
I think that this is a helpful term just to be like, use your critical thinking. Red flags are red flags for a reason. If you ever get a weird vibe from some gear you're buying, whether it's on a wholesale drop shipping website, or it's just the appearance that someone gives you, use your gut when you're in the kink community.
Also know that a lot of toys that look appealing, you may use one time and then it will sit in your closet for 20 years before you ever use it again.
Versus the one insertable toy that cost you maybe like half that price that you use every week and you enjoy and it like lasts for a long time. Next tip. The next tip comes from Johnny Ace, who says, slow down.
Grab the wall.
Frenzy is a hell of a thing. What is frenzy? Do you know what that is?
So frenzy is like when you get into a certain kink and you have to do it all the time.
You love shake weights.
Yes.
Got it. Frenzy is this experience of hyperfixating, hyperfocusing, and not being able to like do anything without getting off to whatever it is you want to get off to. And it is normal to enjoy a little bit of frenzy, but if you're getting colorblind, if you're getting like hyperfixated, it can be to a point that's to your detriment.
What if my kink is frenzy?
That seems a little unhealthy. Like psychologically, in the DSM, we say that fetishes, kinks, our sexual interests are not bad inherently until it becomes something that causes duress or it causes distress.
Don't frenzy shame me.
Did you see your face when you were frenzied? You looked distressed.
Trauma, 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 trauma.
And to the people that have been in the community for a while, this pro-dom tip, be kind. Show mentorship where you're able to if you have the spoons. And don't take advantage of newer players just because they're fresh meat. That is very, very detrimental to their experience as well as, well, your standing in the community if someone says you were rude.
Yeah, that's my number one advice when getting into the kink scene is to find a mentor, to find somebody who's good at what you want to get into and then study from them, ask for help, and pay attention.
New DOMs are also a thing that probably come to the community all the time. If you're a new DOM, find a sub who is experienced and willing to help you learn. Like that's one of the best ways I've found as a DOM, as like at the top in a situation, to learn from someone.
And that's actually why I play with young DOMs, is it's really hard to hurt me. So I'm like, you can make a mistake on me, I don't mind.
So strong.
So strong.
I am the best.
Sometimes things that are older are worse.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Rude. What do you do when you're into a kink and somebody else comes up and thinks they're gonna be your best friend now?
Well, I mean, if it's a new person, they've got a lot of energy. They've got a lot of new relationship energy. Generally, I have a conversation with them, but
What if you don't have time?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have time right now. I would love to chat later.
Bitch.
Wow. I literally said I'm sorry. Are you being a new person or are you being the old person in the community? Because I have people like that react to me when I'm just like, how are you doing? Love this energy that we're creating here. Would you like to have sex now? I'm Kermit the Frog. I don't know why I turned into Kermit, but Goth Disco Gnome really hits one of my favorite points for newbies. And it is, there's not anything you have to do to be the real sub, dom, whatever. It's about having fun, not fitting into a model. And that hit so close to home for me because when I was first getting into the scene, I remember a lot of younger guys my age just getting into puppy play, like it was just kind of exploding at the time, feeling like they had to meet or match a certain person online in their style, or they had to do b.d.s.m, bondage, leather, a specific way to be a real whatever.
And that's why it is called a style. Everyone's got their own style and everyone becomes very individual in what they can do and what they like to do. And you find out who those players are and you play with them and enjoy their style.
And let people grow. If you're in the community already, let people have that style. Let them play with that. So let people try new things. New energy is good for the community.
If they're having fun, they're doing it right. Except bondage. Bondage you can do wrong.
Well, yeah, well, you can do lots of things wrong. I'm not saying don't stop people from doing things wrong. I'm saying if you've been in the community, allow room for growing for everyone, you know? Have some fun.
I love when we contradict ourselves.
There are so many contradictions to the community.
Yeah.
And so take the good that you like that gives you style and grace and customize it. Kink is customizable. And when we talk about new people, it's good to instill reservations to them and their own body. This one comes from Daddy Danger, who says, you get to decide what you like, how you like it, with whom you like it, and how often you like it. There's no one way to do this, and your relationship to kink will change and grow as you do.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes you actually won't even be into it, and other times you'll be frenzied for it.
And other times you'll be finding that you negotiate differently or try new kinks with new people or old people. You gotta be honest, but you have to go at your own pace.
Yeah.
But you're also gonna be learning a lot about your body, in how you like it, why you like it, what kinks you're into. Something that you're not into the first time,
Try it again.
Yeah, try it again. The person you tried it with might not have been the right vibe. Maybe they smelled a BO. Maybe they keep contradicting you or interrupting what
You
you're
could
saying.
do it
It's a
with
huge
someone else,
turn-off.
and they have a different style.
You're replacing
like we
me?
just said.
Oh my God. And say it with me. No is an answer and full sentence and response and should be respected. No means no. And you have permission from us to say no if you don't want to do something.
And no wire hangers.
They're actually velvet hangers. Yeah. Wait, what?
And sometimes things that are more expected. Next one from Lee says something Daddy said earlier, which was, run now. Here's a rustling. Oh God, it's too late. Ah!
Got caught in the daddy trap, didn't they?
But then actually goes on to say, or I don't know, like volunteering at events will get you FaceTime with much peeps and a cheaper entry. Pro tip for newbies.
Yeah, and going to kink events like that introduces you to more players in the community and will allow you to branch out and learn more.
And also gets you FaceTime because like if people see you working a door at something and then they see you later at a play party, you've now you're in their mind already. You're inside their head.
Yeah.
It gets you a good foot in the door. It also gets you cheaper prices at events. And it's one of the best places to learn about kink.
And some organizations even do lotteries.
So if you're new to the community, get involved, but also look out for those scholarship programs is usually what they call them. You might get free tickets and wonderful experiences.
And this one from Oki says, social media isn't reality.
What?
So true.
But their food looks so perfect.
So true. And even I know that, and I put up so much stuff on social media. Do you know how many pictures I throw away and I
Tons.
don't post? I just look for that one perfect, unattainable shot that nobody could ever do.
So modest.
No, I'm like, there are a lot of really bad shots I don't put up. I look terrible.
The point being, what you see on social media sometimes is a grandiose version of a kink scene. It's very much like porn. Fantasy and reality are two different things. And if you're learning from just random posts on Twitter or even like pornography that people are producing, you might not be learning the best practices and you might even have a skewed idea of what certain kink and b.d.s.m is.
What if filters are your kink?
I wish you had one.
A filter?
Yeah.
Wow.
Got him. But social media can also be good. Like, we use it all the time to connect, to set up fun play dates, and it is kind of how you find kinksters easily online when you live in rural areas, let's say.
Just don't compare yourself to others, which is what a lot of people do with social media.
Where do you usually find kinksters, players, and people that you connect with?
Actually, strangely, and you're gonna hate this, on Twitter. I find a lot of people that I do collabs with on Twitter. Otherwise, I do it on apps like Recon and Scruff.
I use Instagram sometimes because it's an easy way to vet people in a more relaxed way, and I can see mutual friends, I can see what they do or who they post pictures with, but you should be cautious. If you're not gonna take your safety first and foremost, they're certainly not going to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways you can find out someone's history and what their experience level is in kink.
And nothing's sexier than going to dinner and being like, so last week about, I don't know, 6 days ago, it looks like you went to this museum. How was that with your best friend that you've known since high school?
That's a little creepy.
Did you guys enjoy the ice cream you had afterwards on your story that was only up for about 15 seconds? You put hot to go behind it, and I really love chaperone. So how are you doing?
Oh my
God, what a
God.
great date. We should do this again.
Okay, I take it all back.
Selfie.
No! Oh my God, Demon Twink.
Demon Twink.
Titus says, listen to your instincts. If you feel the slightest bit off about a partner, place, or scene, get out. Many of us wind up with at least one horror story because we didn't.
See? Run!
Red flags are red
told
flags
you,
for
right
a
off,
reason.
run.
If there's a red flag, if you feel that something's not right, if you get an ick or a squick or a, I'm not in a good headspace right now, hey, can we pick this back up later, is a valid excuse.
And sometimes just having a bad day or maybe going through a breakup or something is valid reason not to play with someone. Just say, I am not emotionally in a place I can play with you.
This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And if you don't treat it as something that's going to be your entire life, if you're interested in the kink community, you're gonna hurt yourself, you're gonna get halfway through that marathon and collapse, or we don't want you to harm yourself. So please take your time, take it easy, and for God's sakes, if you're the pro doms, aftercare.
For me, aftercare is usually cleaning up the scene with the partner and sitting down and having a chat after and just checking in to see how they are.
And if you're a kinkster that's getting into some like suspension or maybe even impact play, check in a day or two after as well. I think that's just a kind thing to do if you really had a good time with that person, regardless of playing again, because you're doing some varsity level stuff sometimes and you could hurt them. If it happens, at least you're checking in and doing your due diligence to make sure that, hey, what's good? You okay? What can I do? Slushy Puppy says, power through those first 3 days of chastity and it will feel like it's part of you after that.
Not always. I mean, glad that worked for Slushy. But...
Or Miyabi, who says, just because you share a kink with someone doesn't mean they automatically want to have a scene with you. Have you ever run into someone like that?
Actually, that's a good point. Just because you find someone else into a similar kink as you don't know what their life or lifestyle is or even attraction is. So don't push if they politely say no.
Yeah, the vibe might not match, and even as a new kinkster, you're gonna have that new relationship energy every time for the first couple kink scenes, and the frenzy could be there, but also you could get a little tunnel vision on like, oh, this is perfect, we're gonna be perfect, we're gonna be here together forever, I'm gonna be the perfect sub. And
Are you gonna be my daddy?
No.
I'm gonna hold you and hug you and squeeze you and treat you like my very own.
I worry about you
We're
sometimes.
best buds
Oh,
now.
yes, we are. And it's like they always say, YKINMK, or YKINMK, which stands for...
Why can you...
Y starts with just Y? No, it means your kink is not my kink. And that's okay. It's an acronym that kind of is just to say like, you know, you don't have to kink shame someone who's not doing the same kinks as you. It doesn't make it better or worse. Like, as long as you're being consensual, respectful, and you're not doing anything illegal, live and let live, you know?
Or hurting anyone.
Yeah, we're just doing our kink and we're just trying to do our puppy play or our bondage. We all have felt that stigma at some point, and the stigmatization can sometimes feel like it's coming from inside the house because people don't see eye to eye all the time.
Because it is coming from inside the house. It's coming inside the cage.
I know how long you've been in that cage, Patricia.
Have you ever had an instance where you were like, a wooga hard eyes on someone because you're like, this is gonna be perfect, and then it doesn't?
Can you do the wooga hard eyes again for me, please?
For real though, have you ever had those moments of having like the rose-colored glasses with someone and it just didn't work out in the end?
Lots of time.
Yeah.
Everyone has. That used to happen to me all the time. And this was before apps. So you would cruise a leather guy at the bar. You would go home with them and they just wanted vanilla sex. And you're like, why did you dress up in leather? Why do you have handcuffs on? Why are you doing
flagging?
nothing? Why are you flagging?
Yeah.
They were not kinky at all. They just liked to be dressed nicely in leather.
Kids these days, nowadays, adult kinksters, have it so much easier than you guys ever did.
Because they have an app that says, okay, this is what I'm into. This is what I'm into.
I've definitely had instances before where I was like, this is gonna be perfect, like everything lines up, they seem great, they love video games, and then we meet in person and like no sense of humor or like vibrance to what they talk about, just very Eeyore.
And that's where personality is important in kink, because you can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't mesh with someone else, the scene's gonna feel flat. So chemistry is very important.
And to that, not all kinks are even necessary to have a partner. You can do lots of like putt play by yourself. You can do very simple like meditation hypno. And last but not least, by Chiasmodius says, stop taking everything so hecking seriously. Have fun, please have fun. That's the point.
I know, if they're not laughing or crying, it's not worth it.
Oh, we're doing a tickling scene now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Okay.
I wanna see
Okay.
tears.
No.
I wanna see tears.
Thank you. Whoops, I farted.
And to our pro-doms out there and seasoned veterans, please don't take yourself too seriously. Nothing kills a mood as much as someone who gets too in their head. The scene's ruined if I drop something, or the rope comes untied. Have fun, roll with the punches. And while that might be our last point, I think that's one of the most important, because if you're doing this not for fun, why? Like,
Exactly.
This is an extracurricular thing you get to do with your clothes off, with other people that you care about, that you want to do with them. And that's how you should always approach a scene. Even protocol or high leather or really deep BDSM can still have its moments of fun and laughter and air to breathe. If you're not having dynamic scenes like that, I worry that you're not doing kink for the right reason.
Yeah, a little levity goes a long way because levity builds trust. And when you trust your partner, you're gonna go a lot deeper.
So, Daddy, what is your go-to tip as we close out the episode for new kinksters in the scene?
I say get out there, meet other kinksters, find a mentor, ask questions, and see how you can get involved.
And I'm gonna say always be honest, not only with other people and what you put out there, whether it's on a profile or in a meeting, but also with yourself. If you're not ready for something, if you feel uncomfortable in some situation, or you need more time to wrap your mind around something, please do it. Educate yourself, but take your safety seriously. And that first and foremost comes with being honest.
Oh my God, you're crying. That means it was a good scene.
I'm still not laughing though.
I can
No, okay, anyway. And don't forget, if someone tries to tickle you without consent, always have a safe word. And today's safe word is...
You can mick.
Because your kink isn't always my kink, but sometimes when they overlap, you find lovely people that you make a life with and you play with and you just have fun.
Run.
Regardless though of the tips and tricks that we gave today, I'm curious, what is the one tip we missed? What is the one tip you would give a new player?
So leave that comment down below.
Leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. This is literally the most asked for episode. We always get this question of like, what are the new things for new people that want to get into the scene? So I hope that this answered all of that.
And if your kink is ringing bells, please ring that bell and you might be notified of our next one.
And we will see you all next time. Bye. We watched a porn film festival that had Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy was the dom.
And Kermie got...
You can't say that.
And Kermie got a up its...
That's worse somehow.
No, it's a puppet. It's a ball puppets have holes.
You don't have to call it his...
Kermit got a hand up its...